I want to finish off here with our prediction corner, where we take a look at a couple of stocks. But I don't think we talked about Tesla, which is my favorite stock to look at. But I want to take a look at Bitcoin, because
Sure.
Bitcoin did bounce off of
We hit
uh,
that resistance line.
exactly. It basically, you were telling me, I think 2 weeks ago, that you were looking for that sort of bounce for it to confirm the trend.
That was exactly the resistance line I was expecting. I wanted to close above that in order for that to confirm a trend upward. Since we've rejected off of that, I'm expecting one more pullback here. However, we need to see another higher low in order to see a continuation in this trend. So this could be a short-term pullback.
Okay, so the pullback, you would expect it to go until where? Because here is the trend. Oh,
About 50% of the move, so probably down to about 64, maybe 63. But
I
certainly
see.
not a lower low, right? It would end up posting and printing higher than the most recent low printed
I
there.
understand. Okay, that makes sense. All right. My prop firm account didn't survive this drop that we had today. This one candle. I was too optimistic. I was like, "Oh, we confirmed the bounce. Let's just move forward." But you know what I've learned? My big short come in. I can't. I don't know how to read wicks. Like the wick, when you look on the historical, you go, "Oh, I could tell that this is where it bounced." Right?
Well,
Uh,
first off, your wicks are too dull. You need to make them brighter.
you make them brighter. How do you do that? Oh, you mean in the interface?
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
So I see a wick like this in the past, and I go, "Oh, I could tell that that's where the price would bounce." But I
Mhm.
never really remember that while that candle's open, the candle is filled all the way to the bottom, and so I think it's headed down, and then I don't buy right at
Ah,
that location, and then I look back and I go, "Oh, Tom, you're so stupid," because I never really think that, oh, we're painting the wick at the while we're in the candle. But that's
I see
traders'
what you
problem.
mean. And this is largely why I'm a big fan of waiting for confirmation, because the print tells you everything after the fact. If we try to trade mid candle, there's a lot more that could be coming. I prefer to wait for that close.
So for you, like, these are good lows to buy.
No, I would probably. So for this one,
You would
if
full
you
on
want,
wait. Yeah.
I can show you like sort of the short term fib extension, or excuse me, fib retrace I would look for here.
Sure.
Let me share my screen real quick. My approach here, especially when we're pulling back like this, is to wait for a big enough pullback in this short term trend. So from here to here, that would be the high, the low, and the high. A 50% move on Fibonacci would be at that 64 line, like I was mentioning. A 618 retrace would be at the 62.7, somewhere around this point here. So somewhere in this zone is where I'm trying to pay attention, right? Where this is where we tend to pull back. But I'm not really interested in getting in for that longer term upward move until we've confirmed a bounce off of this level by closing above the EMA that will start to show up at that point. And I use that short-term EMA as my guide for whether or not we've confirmed right back up to the upside. At that point, that becomes the higher low that has now been confirmed here. But the market needs to retrace here, find some full extension or full retrace here, and then confirm above the EMA before it's time to head back up again.
Interesting. Okay, so are there any other stocks that are on your radar that you're paying attention to, or even cryptos that you look at, or you're still focused on the Nasdaq futures?
I mean, all of it. I am interested in, like right now we have all the automated strategies running for prop firm accounts in NASDAQ futures, all M and Q right now. And then I have several stocks that I'm paying attention to that I'll go public with on Twitter pretty quickly. Between now and November 15th are all the 13F filings from the larger institutions. And I'm always interested in what happens around that period of time. The 13F filings are fascinating to me because, one, it represents a lot of where the larger institutional smart money is going. And if you can start to calculate what they got in for in the previous quarter and confirm the price is lower than what they paid, then it feels like a little bit of a cool opportunity here, right? To get in at a lower price than even the big guys did. So that's kind of a play that I always tend to look at. I always try to do DCF valuation or dividend analysis on each one to try to get a sense of whether or not it's currently under or overvalued. So I filter down the list to my preferences as an investor, but then I'm looking for swing trades there. The ones that have been interesting, though, are companies that are pretty well drawn down. We're talking like 50, 60% drawdowns. In those cases, as long as they're undervalued and there's still a lot of, and they're still a high quality company, then it's just a great buying opportunity. And getting the signal from the larger investors is a nice plus. I think the one that I noticed today, and this is still a little too early to make any bets because I want to see more data come through, but the reports start coming in, middle of October. You get some information pretty early. The big one that I saw a fairly large big bet played on was Nucor Corp. And when I looked this one up, if I can share my screen here again. Is this one open?
Yeah.
Okay. So Nucor is already drawn down about 30% from peak. And from an intrinsic value perspective, they're valued at about $440. So they're well undervalued, and they were purchased by two different insiders, David Katz at Matrix Asset Advisors and the Hillman Value Fund. The Hillman Value Fund bought about 40,000 shares. David bought 2,700 shares. And the Hillman Value Fund now owns, I think in total, about 6 million shares overall. So a little bit of an interesting vote here in that realm. But I'm also interested in that volume breakout, right? There's a really big volume bar here that represents obviously a big sell-off from this earnings miss. But I really think it also represents a good support area, as this, could be the print of that higher low that I'm usually looking for in a trend following strategy. So this is just one of many examples where I'll run through a whole list of what the larger investors are going after, see if it's been pulled back quite a bit, make sure it's an undervalued company, and then start to place my bets from there.
Excellent. Perfect. Well, compared to that, I'm just really paying attention to Doge, because it's Elon play, meme coin play, and it's up 67% over the last since September 2024.
I should probably start paying attention to some of those coins again. I tend to get pretty sidetracked on these other markets and stop paying attention to the smaller ones. Bitcoin and Ethereum are always on my radar, but yeah, every time I hear
Ethereum, you're still thinking about Ethereum? Ethereum is last year's thing.
Only because there's a regulated futures market for it. It's the only other crypto in which you can get on the, like TradeStation or TradeAvate. If there were a futures market for Dogecoin, I'd be interested.
Oh, that's right. I don't really see you jump into like DEXs and to try to make these crypto plays.
I'd prefer to have my cash in a regulated broker.
All right, John will be much more likely to have a Dogecoin. I'll ask him about it.